Okay. Real quick, let us know if you can see us. People that are in the room, drop it in the chat. Can you hear us right now? Can you see us? Okay, I'm seeing emojis. I'm seeing hiya. Yes. Okay, awesome. Loud and clear. We are ready to go. So, really excited. Actually, real quick, before we jump in, like, how's everything going? We just had Nayo and Veronica speak. Those looked like amazing sessions, a lot of engagement. Looks like you guys are having fun, a lot of nuggets of advice. I'm kind of curious, what, like, out of all the sessions today, like, what's the big piece of advice you've gotten so far that was like an aha moment for you? Anything interesting? Anything you guys took away that was really valuable? Let's see. Oh, um, it's been like drinking from a fire hose today. That's awesome. Systems. Don't overthink. Love that. Just a lot of good nuggets. There's some great speakers. Like we spend a lot of time bringing in some really great people to talk, and I'm glad you guys are getting a lot of value out of these sessions. And I'm really excited for this session today we have with Gerry and Wendy. So today we're going to be talking about the different options you have when it comes to managing your workflows, right? So you can use spreadsheets, you can use generic task management tools like Asana, ClickUp, Rike, or you can use workflow tools like Financial Sense, right? But when does it make sense to use certain tools? What are the pros and cons? And we're going to talk about that today. And we got Gerry and Wendy, who are actual firm owners, to talk about their experiences. So it's going to be a panel discussion. We have some questions we're going to go through, but make sure you drop your own questions in the Q&A. If you have questions about spreadsheets, generic tools, workflow tools, pros and cons, drop in the Q&A, and I'm going to try to pull from those, and we'll include those in our panel discussion today. So do that. Don't drop it in the chat. Drop it in the Q&A because it gets lost in the chat, and we never see it. So to get started, I'm going to let Gerry and Wendy introduce themselves so you can know a little bit about them and their firm. So Gerry, I'll let you start. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your firm, what you guys are all about.
Blue Canyon CPA, we're a small mid-market CPA firm in Canada. We continue to grow and expand through acquisition. We were one of the early adopters for Financial Sense, and we love what it's done for our productivity. Actually, Ryan Lozanis, who is one of the other speakers, he's my coach. I've been with him about the same time. As my two best decisions were Ryan as a coach and signing on and putting our firm onto Financial Sense. And like, I cannot tell people enough how if you want a 5 to 10x your productivity, Financial Sense has been unbelievable. It's transformed how we practice, and we are what the AICPA talks about: client-focused, advisory-based, powered by Financial Sense.
Gerry, how many people are in your firm?
We got about 8. We're looking at a couple more. We should probably be doubling by next year. So
that's awesome.
But we couldn't do this without Financial Sense. So if you're my competitors locally, go try someplace else.
Okay.
But that's me.
Thank you, Gerry. Wendy, how about you tell us a little about you and your firm?
My firm, I've been working in the industry for a long time. I can't tell you how long, you'll know exactly how old I am, but it's been a long time. But I started my own firm about 5 years ago, and we have, there's 4 of us. Everyone works part-time. We don't track time. We have unlimited time off because we're just focused on getting the projects done. As long as the work is getting done, that's all we're focused on, and making sure the clients are happy. But so we're small intentionally, and we will be growing a little bit more. We have had slow sustained growth so that it doesn't get out of hand. I actually let it grow a little too fast last year, and that was not a good thing. So we scaled back, and now we're taking our growth more slowly.
Perfect. Thank you, Wendy. So let's jump into our first question, right? So let's first talk about spreadsheets and generic like task management tools. So like Asana, ClickUp, Rike. Was there a stage in your firm where you guys use spreadsheets or a generic workflow tool, like maybe in the early days? and where it was effective, right? And what was that experience like? So, Gerry, I'll let you go first.
Sure. We used Excel about 5 years ago, and we tried Asana. Tried even what was it? Teamwork. Didn't fit what we were doing as accountants and our bookkeeping team, and the process of providing accounting solutions or services. Were working during tax season, basically every Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. We had a tough time trying to update what was going on with a particular file. It was very, very tough to kind of keep clients engaged, and we were losing emails left, right, and center. And so we found, the innovation and the solutions that Financial Sense gave us all of a sudden cut our emails by probably 2/3 because the client portal really shifted how the conversation and the action is with clients, but also and more recently with the artificial intelligence and the templates and also the tracking, we started being able to manage much more effectively through, because we wouldn't have to worry about shutting down a spreadsheet, opening a spreadsheet, corrupting a spreadsheet. Like, Excel is not a tool to manage your practice. And we just found once we started ramping up and using Financial Sense, we cut our workloads by at least 50%, and our clients love it. And not that any other clients lie for other firms, but our clients sometimes, to be less than truthful or seem like they think that they forget that they miss their deadlines. I'm sure Wendy doesn't have that problem. Her clients are probably all perfect. But I tell you, Financial Sense has been a game changer because it's changed our ability to hold people accountable at all levels, including myself.
So Gerry, real quick, I want to break that up a little bit. So, you talked about you've used spreadsheets, you used Asana and some of the generic tools, and you moved to Financial Sense. What was that timeline like for you? When did you use spreadsheets? I assume it was when you first started out, right? And then when were you okay, let's try something different? You tried the task management tools, and then what was that timeline?
We started the first year where, before your world came into being, Shahram, and your team, accountants being super cautious and super conservative and think that they could do everything through Excel. We said, oh, we'll just bring a big Excel sheet and kind of update all the fields and things like that. After our tax season in 2020, where we were working crazy hours, I just said, we need to find something else. And that's at the time when the pandemic was starting to kick in. So we had a hybrid model going in and out. And we just said, this is not working because we're spending so much time just trying to update and manage the spreadsheet as opposed to focusing on getting the work done. And when you're fighting with tools, frustration levels were up exponentially. It was really tough to find out what file was working on. You couldn't work on the same, spreadsheet all at the same time, no matter what Microsoft says. It was chaos in 20. And then that's when we came across your software, and it was like, wow, and great value for money. And then we just slowly started learning more and more. There is a learning curve to it, but and it was because we're cautious accountants. We're like, okay, we're always thinking spreadsheet or maybe process. But now, once we got comfortable with how everything fit together, and also the interface got really clean over the last couple of years, we're not going back. We do everything on Financial Sense for managing the practice. So.
Yeah, I hear this a lot, with spreadsheets. They're great in the beginning, and that's what accountants are comfortable with, right? That's what they started. You guys live in spreadsheets, but there's a point to where when you start to bring on other people into your team, that you need more visibility, you need more collaboration built in, and a spreadsheet can only go so far. And we saw this especially when COVID hit. People weren't in the office anymore, so you needed even more visibility and better collaboration because you don't have that in-office osmosis of knowledge that just kind of you absorb just being there. And people started to implement these workflow tools. Wendy, I'm curious about you. So in the stages of your firm, what was it like for you? When did you use spreadsheets? And assume the early days, was it effective then? When did you start to struggle with spreadsheets? When was it becoming a frustration? And did you try other task management tools as well?
Well, I started out with spreadsheets. I think a lot of people do, because just to get my thoughts in order, just like you were showing how you list the tasks and then you move it into the software. So I felt it was really important to get those processes locked down and have a good visual of what it needed to look like. When I started out, I had 3 clients and it was just me. Pretty quickly, we moved to 5. I hired somebody part-time. So those spreadsheets were really valuable, but we were actually, I'm embarrassed, printing them so that she could do her little checklist and then it was coming to me. That was fine until we started growing and growing. We're now up to about 30 monthly clients. Doesn't work. Because then we had to have a spreadsheet to track the spreadsheets. And then we had to have spreadsheets for, onboarding, leads, the monthly projects, the one-off projects, the consulting. And it got to be too much. And as you mentioned earlier, sometimes people might copy it to start putting their own on it, and they can't see the updates you've done. I know Google Sheets is a way to kind of eliminate that issue, but it wasn't working after we reached about 5. And when we had 3 people instead of 2, then we needed a central way of doing it. So I'd say within the first year, I knew that we were going to need a practice management software. Well, I had some of my favorites because I had been working in the industry for a while, but I knew that they weren't cost effective for me. I wasn't quite big enough for that investment yet. So we tried some things like Asana and ClickUp, and there were a few others that we tried. HubSpot has a free version, and that worked in some aspects for us, but they needed so much customization, and implementation was difficult. And one of the most important things for me is that my team like it, that they're excited about it and they want to use it. None of them. We even tried the work functionality within QuickBooks Online. I was constantly reminding them to update it. I don't want to do that. That takes up too much of my time. I want them to want to use it. So we had a very difficult time finding something that they liked. And I'll go ahead and tell you now that Financial Sense was a game changer for us. When I discovered it, I asked team members immediately to look at it. There was no implementation. It just worked. There was very little that we had to do to get it to work, and everyone loves it because visually they could see quickly what was going on, what they needed to do, what the status was on things. And it's just been great. So out of the 3, we went to spreadsheets. We tried just a general practice management type software. But I recommend highly that people who are trying to make this decision pick something that is designed for the industry, because it's going to be completely different. Now, some of the industry specific practice management software that we saw is more geared towards tax, and we don't do tax. So it's a different kind of setup, which Financial Sense dealt with easy. It was great.
So I've seen this question, and I think this ties into some of the stuff you were saying, Wendy. And I've seen this question come up a few times in our chats and in the Q&A, is some people are asking, like, what's the difference between like an industry specific, like the main difference between like an industry specific tool, like Financial Sense, versus like a generic or task management tool like an Asana or a ClickUp or all the other options out there? Like, in your opinion, like if you could choose, like what was like the biggest difference to you when using those 2 systems that like really resonated?
It's focused on this specific industry. There's not a huge amount of customization that has to be done. A generic software, it's great because you can mold it to what you need, but this is geared specifically for accounting. So for example, the templates that are in there, great to springboard off of. You may have to adjust a little bit, but I don't have to, reinvent the wheel. It's there. I've just got to tweak it a little bit for me, not set the whole system up. So when you pick a industry specific software, most of that's already set up for you. It just takes tweaking instead of complete setup.
Yeah. And I've heard that too. We've heard that with a lot of people we work with, because like, I mean, don't get me wrong, ClickUp, Asana, like all these generic tools are really great because you could do a lot of different things with them. But what we've seen is like for ClickUp, you might have to pay a consultant to set it up for you if you don't want to take all those courses and learn it all yourself, which a lot of people don't do because they don't have the time. And it's like, do you want something that works well out of the box, ready to go, or do you want to customize? But we've even seen like a lot of firms, even though they customize it, it works with like a smaller team. But as you grow and scale, those processes start to break, and you kind of like, it doesn't work like it used to when you were smaller, because your firm changes over time as it gets bigger. So that's something we see a lot. Gerry, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, well, best practices and also the collaboration within the financial sense community is pretty strong. Kelley Parks has done a lot of heavy lifting, and she's got some great tools and techniques that are getting built into financial sense to allow you to focus on serving your clients better and focus on giving better advice. So you're not fighting with your toolkit, you're more focusing on providing creative advisory solutions that clients really value. It's like, if you go with, it's like hiring an expert. Like usually your doctor, if you have a particular problem, they're going to send you to a specialist. Financial sense allows you as a specialist in accounting, bookkeeping, or tax to have all those tools and techniques available to you so you can focus on listening to the client. I'm not fighting with my technology at all anymore. And if I need something quickly, I've got hundreds, if not thousands, of peers within the group, thanks to you guys, to say, okay, how's the best way to do that? And then you're the first to implement AI. And so now, you know, literally that treasure trove, you're right up there with ChatGPT of saying, find me the best way to do this type of tax form or this type of bookkeeping technique for this industry. And literally snap of the fingers, you get your process built into financial sense immediately. Like I'm like, forget this of doing it on my own. I just type into the AI and financial sense, boom, 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 boom. It comes everything else because it's got thousands of, you know, models inside of it from all of us collaborating that gets me a particular best practice and process that works in my industry. So I just have to follow it, and my staff have to follow it, but we can then tie that in easily to customize it to the client. So we're not trying to figure out for ourselves. We're now giving hyper personalized services thanks to financial sense, like the portal and the client task and the communication. Like clients are like, wow, like we're not saying, okay, this is the process. We're like, boom, done. Now we're hyper personalizing our expertise to what the client's needs are. And we're like, they're like, wow, how do you do this? And I'm like, you know, again, if you're my competitor, go to one of those other platforms. I don't want you to sign up to this. But it's like our clients love it. Like we don't have any problems with OneDrive and sharing files. We have the conversation is no longer hunting all over Office 365. It's right in financial sense. We have a hyper personalized service now, thanks to all the expertise of running an accounting practice and firm through what financial sense has built over the years.
That's awesome. Thank you. That was good. So I have another question from the audience. So like when you made the switch from like spreadsheets or a generic tool to like an industry specific tool. So in this case, you guys are using financial sense, but what was like the biggest like feature that stood out that maybe wasn't so obvious? Like our functionality, right? That wasn't so obvious you would get in an industry specific tool that you got when you switched from spreadsheets. I was like, wow, that was great that I can do that now.
For us, it was the collaboration. And I know that I've seen a lot of comments running through on chat about clients not wanting to adopt technology or how they fight it. And I've often said, if I give them one more login, their head is going to explode. And we found that was our big aha with financial sense, is that we can collaborate with the clients and it's not painful for them. it's easy for them. And that made a huge difference. I actually have a client that was a client. She worked for me for a while, and now she's a client again. She doesn't work for me anymore because her business took off again. So, and she told me, because she's one who explored a lot of these other practice management systems for me. She told me, she goes, wow, I love Financial Sense. That is great. She uses it like a maniac. That's how she communicates with us and uploads things all the time now. So she's had experience looking at them, and she loves this one.
I appreciate it. And that's interesting because we spend a lot of time on that with like our portal, like passwordless login, but secure and encrypted. And because I think at the end of the day, like, and you talked about this, Wendy, whatever tool you decide to use, it's got to be something your team wants to use and that your clients want to use. Because if your team doesn't use it, the information is not accurate. And you're still having the same problem as well, because they're still in whatever system or process that they're using. But the clients aren't using it, it's even worse because you're not getting the information you need to get your work done from them, or you're not getting the updates. So whatever you use, it is always good to like sniff test with your clients and your team to make sure, is it something that they're going to like, maybe, or enjoy using to a certain degree. And we spend a lot of time on that. Gerry, what about you?
The client portal and holding clients accountable, and driving that self-service model has saved us a lot of time. Like I recently just saw in the Q&A, is like we do our corporate tax, personal tax, our insurance work, our advisory work, everything. We have templates thanks to AI, and then we assign this particular client tasks of what we need the clients to follow, and then we let the software constantly remind them until they check off saying the task is done. So we're not chasing clients anymore. We're now, once we get everything, we're going to wow you with our service and our expertise. But it's been a game changer because again, like Wendy said, the collaboration, but the clients are finding that they can go to one place and upload their files. They have one place where they can ask their questions. They can chat with us in real time, or they can ask the question and it sits there and we can answer it later on. They know exactly what we've got to get them, and they got to get us, and we sign dates. And we can also say, look, if it's urgent, we say, look, we need it, and it hits them daily with SMS and emails until finally they point, if they don't. Not that we may have clients that have problems with listing. I'm sure other firms never have that, where their clients always listen to following instructions. But checking off the box and just saying, getting everything in there, that is huge, because we are not fighting or chasing after clients anymore, because the software does that. But it also allows us to collaborate to say, okay, we need this, or this is good, or this is the wrong form. But it's that client portal's being the game changer. And I compare it to some of the big systems out there, like Wolters Kluwer or Thomson Reuters. Like, they don't have this portal that's so well collaborative and in such a way where you're out of email and you're actually having a platform which is easily usable by anyone. Like, we have 77-year-old clients who love it across the country, because they go and open a web page, boom, boom, off they go. So we've saved probably at least 35% of our time, no longer having to find an email or having to chase after our clients, which is massive.
Yeah. I think the thing I hear that's the biggest pain point for a lot of firms I talk to is chasing their clients for information. And a lot of the times it comes down to the processes that you're currently using to request or get information or responses from your clients is just creating too much friction for the client. So the client can't remember their password, or they have to go find that email they need to respond to. And, they're busy, they're business owners, and then they just can't find it. After a minute, they go on to the next thing. So it never gets done.
Well, and also the beauty thing is also, like, we're already planning our 2024 tax season, and we already know, we're already doing our capacity planning. Like, I know which clients, staff are overworked, which ones have excess capacity. Like, it's already built into the software, and you can look at calendar view, you can look at list view. There's a ton of reports in there. So I know whether or not, do I have too much work coming up in the 2024 that I got to get some additional capacity. And you set it up in the budget process. It'll then determine based on hours and how you can figure your work week. It's unbelievable. And we know as clients, we saying, look, if it's over 2 hours and we're edging up in terms of that, it's like, it's a game changer. Like, I could talk about this for hours, but I better I'll stop now.
Okay, so it looks like we're going into Q&A. Tosin, I know we already answered this question, the hidden gem feature. I think they both talked about the portal and the automated request. What is the most underused function in FC, and how do you implement it more? Oh, that's a tough one. What do you guys think?
I think people like the Client Vault is pretty phenomenal, and also the file management. But Client Vault has been very good because if we have to get certain passwords for, say, some of their files, or we're picking up files from previous firms, we can store everything in there, and we don't have to worry about another password manager or things like that. So that Client Vault is a very good tool to allow you to centralize client information, and it's
Mhm.
I think using the Client Vault is going to be very helpful long term as privacy and cybersecurity becomes much more important. And that's been there for 4 years now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're 4 years old yet. Almost. Wendy, Wendy, what about you?
The most underused function, I think, is just not using everything that's available. I was looking in the chat and I hear people say, well, I'm using Lisio for client communication and Financial Sense for project management and, those kinds of comments, but it's all there. And one thing that I've started looking at more is that when you go to a client, you can go to the activity section. You can see the notes. You can see the communications. You can see what files have come in. So yeah, I think it's just not using everything that's there, not using it to its full potential.
Yeah. And that's something we've been working on with our customer success team, is helping educate, because we're releasing so many new updates. It's hard to keep up. We were talking about this earlier, but trying to how can we better educate on some of this functionality that could be very vital for some firms. And WorkflowCon's been great for that, right? Because some of the speakers have talked about some of the things that they use, and I've seen it, and people are like, I didn't know it could do that. That's great. So actually, we could skip this question, Tosin, because I think we already answered it when we talked about the generic tools. Let's see the next one. So I can answer this one. So right now it is QuickBooks Online. It is Zapier that we integrate with, Smart Vault, Gmail, Outlook, Adobe Sign for e-signatures. But integrations is a big part of our future roadmap, right? So a lot of these just recently came out. We're going to be releasing integrations with tax systems, integrations with Google Drive, OneDrive, SharePoint, all these document management systems, so you can really access all that information and integrate and sync your client information across your tech stack. I'm a sole bookkeeper with no intention of hiring. When or how should this type of software help me? Wendy, how about you go first?
I actually saw that one and responded to it earlier, but it's tremendous. I mean, unless you like chasing down bank statements and you like having to send email reminders and you've got all this time on your hands, then you may not want it. But if you want to focus more on providing services and allowing those kinds of things to be automated, it's a huge help, huge time saver.
Well, my analogy is like, you can walk to work, you can ride a horse to work, or you can drive a car. Which one do you prefer in today's world? Because I tell you, this one, if you want to move fast and have more time for yourself, you need to buy the car, and the car is called Financial Sense.
I like that. I'm going to steal that one. Next question. When will the email folders be integrated? Okay, so I don't have an a specific ETA on this one, but I know it's on the roadmap. Sorry, Diane. I wish I could give you a better answer. Next question. Can we get a signature added to the email integration? So when you say a signature, so you can add your email signature to the email integration. So when you send emails from Financial Sense, I would reach out to the support team and they can show you how that works. You can do that through the in-app chat. And Josh, if you have any questions, just realize it's you. So you can send me an email personally and I can look at it with you. Okay, looks like we need to end this session so we can get ready for the next one. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Gerry, Wendy, it was great having you guys talk about your experience with spreadsheets, generic tools, and workflow software. And I hope everyone found this valuable. Okay.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.